our deputy bureau chief here in Washington, D.C. There's a lot more to talk about, by the way, involving electoral politics today as we're spending time here on Capitol Hill. A member of Congress is running for governor in New Jersey, and there's a big story about what's happening involving Oppo research into Mikey Sherrill, the Democratic representative from New Jersey. Washington Post now reporting that she and leading Democrats are calling for an investigation now, what they call a politically motivated leak of her unredacted military service records. This is a pretty big deal. The National Personnel Records Center improperly gave an ally of the Republican in this race, Jack Ciattarelli, unredacted personal information about Mikey Sherrill, including Social Security numbers, the whole bit. It's being called an egregious blunder, a technician's mistake, and we have big questions about what's going to happen next, which is why we assemble our political panel. Bloomberg Politics contributors Rick Davis and Jeannie Shanzano are with us. Rick is, of course, our Republican strategist and partner at Stone Court Capital. Jeannie is democracy visiting fellow at Harvard Kennedy School's Ash Center. Just to start off here, Rick, as somebody who's run a lot of campaigns, and I'm just going to assume you've never dealt with any Oppo research, how unusual is this? And what should Mikey Sherrill do about it?
Yeah, look, I mean, Oppo research is a standard in the industry, right? Not only on your opponent, but also on your own candidate. One of the first things you do is you say, look, let's look at the records. I remember in 1999 with John McCain, we were pulling service records and things like that just to see what our opponents might find. And yet you have to have authorizations to get this stuff, right? That on a FOIA request, it's a very limited amount of information that the archives will give you on a military service record. And certainly better redactions than having your Social Security on every page that they turned over to the Ciattarelli campaign, basically. So this is a huge embarrassment for the agency that is charged with managing our national archives. And it's happened before. Don Bacon had his service records released to his opponent. I mean, like, they need to get their act together. Regardless of the requests that come in, we have to depend on these institutions to do their part of the job. And in this case, pretty clear failure.
Wow. The House Oversight Ranking Member, Robert Garcia, who may not have the power to make this happen, is demanding an investigation of what he calls illegal, likely politically motivated disclosure. This comes down to something that happened at the Naval Academy in 1994. Mikey Sherrill and a number of her classmates were not allowed to walk in the ceremony because of a big scandal. It was a cheating scandal going on here that involved a number of students. If this is, again, took place in 1992, the scandal itself, she would have walked in 94. 24 classmates were expelled. Jeannie, Sherrill says that she didn't walk because she did not turn in any of her classmates, that she, in fact, did not cheat on this test. What is the political implication of this disclosure?
Yeah, first of all, I don't know why you're assuming that Rick Davis hasn't done Oppo research, Joe. We both know he has.
I'm just, okay.
I know. I think number one, the timing of this could not be worse for her campaign. I mean, the latest Emerson, I think it was the Emerson poll, had them neck and neck. And of course, we all know that New Jersey has been moving a bit over to the more, I don't know what you want to call it, reddish, purplish side. So this is going to be a big loss for the Democrats if she doesn't retain this seat. And I think, certainly you hear the Democrats, you mentioned Garcia, Hakeem Jeffries, they want to get to the bottom of this. They want an investigation. They may get one. But the question is, was this something that was done by mistake, as they are saying, a technician, or was it truly done in order to undermine her and the campaign? Regardless, the information released is very personal, including Social Security numbers, phone numbers. I mean, the list goes on and on. So incredibly damaging and arguably a violation of the Privacy Act. So whoever did it may indeed be held accountable if they conduct this investigation.
Yeah. You mentioned the Emerson College poll, Jeannie. They did this with The Hill and Pix 11, 43 to 43. Mikey Sherrill, Jack Ciattarelli, 11% still undecided. Rick, what's going on in New Jersey? You buy these numbers?
Yeah, I think it's a relatively close race. Citarelli's a well-known candidate, run before, member of the legislature, and so I'm not surprised that it's close. Remember, it wasn't that long ago. We were electing Chris Christie to 2 terms as governor of New Jersey. Republicans can compete statewide. It's not a blue state. But the bottom line on it is this will upset the apple cart, right? There'll be a discussion around this. And what is interesting is how Mikey Sherrill will handle it, because obviously it brings to attention not just this cheating scandal, but her service in the military, helicopter pilot, Patriot. It's quite a contrast with Citarelli. And so I think one of these things you have to always look at, like, whoa, can this boomerang on us, right? I mean, like an attack on her time in the Naval Academy reminds everybody that, she put public service first when she was, 18 years old and served admirably in the military. So at the end of the day, I'm not putting much credibility into the outcome based on this controversy because, of course, the other thing is it looks like political manipulation, and Trump leaned in on it even in his comments. So at the end of the day, it's going to be a close race, and we're going to see whether or not the Democratic machine in New Jersey is able to get out the vote. I mean, it is interesting that basically the youth votes going Democratic and the senior votes going Republican, and the battles in between.
Well, Rick makes a good point here, Jeannie. It reminds us that Mikey Sherrill has used her military service as a centerpiece of her candidacy here. And that's why this is a story to begin with. She did, we should note, go on to serve in the Navy for 9 years, as Rick mentioned, helicopter pilot. The Academy, the Naval Academy website lists her as a notable graduate. She received the Navy Achievement Medal for saving the life of a fellow shipmate while at the Academy, and the prestigious Distinguished Public Service Award in 2024. That's the Navy's highest civilian honor. So if you're advising her campaign today, Jeannie, do you tell her to get to the Academy right now, go to Annapolis and film a new ad on campus?
Yeah, you might. And I have to say, I think she has done a good job already, because you read the quote. I mean, what she is telling voters is the only reason that I was kept out of the ceremony was because I refused to turn in my fellow classmates. In other words, I am not somebody who is going to go and, tell who was involved. I will keep that to myself. And for many people, particularly in New Jersey, that is a very respectable reason to to do that. And so I think she has been trying already to turn this around, and she follows that by saying, to your point, I served 10 years, highest level of distinction and honor. So she is trying, and her campaign is trying to use this to her advantage. And she is no snitch, Joe Matthew, and that's what she wants people to know.
Said it.
So
you said it. So is that the bumper sticker? Is that the bumper sticker, Rick? You're running for governor of New Jersey. Hey, I'm no snitch.
Okay, let's just be totally clear with our listening and viewing audience. It is a violation of the Academy Ethics Code that if you are aware, you do not turn them in. So regardless of the situational ethics of my co-panelists, I don't think that's a particularly good campaign focus.
All right, we covered some good ground here. See, this was productive. We just figured the whole thing out, or at least what you can't do. Rick Davis, thank you. Jeannie Shanzano, thank you. Bloomberg Politics contributors, and the best we have here. Our conference